my total pet hates is SAP, S-A-P.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Where, now, in theory, maybe it can work, but I've just never
Really?
seen it work. So every time one of my customers says we're changing over to a new payment system, it's SAP. Because as a supplier, the only bit of SAP I see is the bit that pays me. I always know that I'm not going to be paid for months and I'm going to have to fill out huge complicated forms to get onto the system. At least there's a barrier to entry, because once I'm on the system, no other trainers can get over that barrier. So they always have to hire me, even if I'm not the best choice. But every time SAP comes in, it becomes a nightmare. And I remember you saying once that if you try to control everything and link everything together, you end up with no flexibility in the structure at all, and it becomes rigid. Rather than becoming more efficient and super streamlined, it becomes almost paralysed. So, when you've got those 4 link systems which are able to sort of go like that, when you put a 5th or a 6th one, it just becomes and it can't move at all. And I suppose that's great until something changes. But it might not even be great as it is. But certainly it never seems to work whenever I encounter SAP.
But it's certainly, there's 2 challenges there, because I've done 2 SAP implementations.
Ooh.
Both were a disaster. Yeah.
That was your fault.
Yeah. Definitely my fault. And I
just got in before.
But you've got so let's say workflows, for instance. Yeah, but you've got workflows and authorization flows. So in order to get this purchase order authorized to pay, Chris Croft, let's say, it has to go through this loop of people. First of all, it goes through the purchasing department. Then it has to go through the person that authorized it. Then the manager has to sign it off, and then it has to go up here for the head of department to sign it off. And down, and 5 weeks later, it comes back and says, you can pay that now, if you're lucky. Because of course, meantime, the guy's gone off ill. And hasn't been around for 2 weeks. And then when he came back, the guy next went off on holiday. So that's 4 weeks before we start. And then it never comes out. But where you are...
But what was the reason why they failed, though, when these 2 implementations, really? Can you explain about this rigidity thing of how you can't lock everything all in together into one integrated thing? Why didn't it work? The dream of SAP. Or other systems are available, but it always seems to be SAP.
I don't think it matters, if I'm honest, what the system is that's applied, because it's actually not the IT that is the underlying failure mode. It's just it gets blamed for it. Well, the fundamental problem is an organisation is growing the wrong way. So it hasn't recognised how you scale at all. It's just growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Like those Buddhas.
Until, like the Buddha, it goes from a Buddha to a sphere, because there's so many layers of gold on it, you can't actually recognise there's a Buddha in the centre of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that ultimately these things were a sticking plaster to solve a problem that didn't solve the problem. They made it easier, but as Julian said, they made it easier at the cost of being more fixed, and until the organisation was solid as a rock.
Yeah.
But that was going to happen anyway.